다 란드 아디샤가 란드 나로는 넘버 상지 비추기 내주 어든지 송고라서 말봐. 네. 내송도 동에 가서 가봐요. 맞지당 가서 동에 가봐요 말이스. 내송도 동에 가봐요 말이. 내송도 동에 가네. 네 하다말 제바이나 안 가서 가봐요 말이스. 여바 나지 안 사지 내송도 동에 가네 하다말 제발내하게 네 유지 송버리스. 들레 집을 종우도 통을 저거 종우도 통을 안해서 그랬어. 더 가까이요 알았으나 안내 건조송라 저순도 고네 안내 렌데 아부송 되네 그래서 그래 디발 샤동 아버지와 이나 안내 든로 하다만 그래서 어디 담도 인사です
Jantro the Dipasha Ledre.
Oh, there's a
the Tamche trees. So we've been going over the lamp, the great master Atisha's lamp for the path to enlightenment. And this encompasses the nature of all Buddhist Dharma. All of Buddhist teachings can be found in an abbreviated format in this text, The Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment. And there are various sections of scope relative to the type of being or type of practitioner who has the ability to do these practices, beginning with teachings that are shared in common with beings of small capacity or teachings for beings of small capacity. And these teachings are for those who recognize the suffering of the lower realms and wish to be free from the suffering of the lower realms of the hell, hungry ghost, and animal beings, and then sees the pleasant states that the gods and humans abide in, and then seeks to have rebirth in those higher realms. So this type of person is called a being of small capacity, and this type of person is one who wishes to definitely get out of the lower realms and wishes to be born into the higher realms. So what has been taught as a method to achieve these results? The Buddha taught that it was very important to have a solid foundation in refuge, solid understanding of the law of cause and effect, or karma and its results, and acknowledgement of one's downfalls, or confession. So these practices are necessary in order to abandon the causal factors for rebirth into the lower realms. And if one's sole motivation is to achieve rebirth into the gods or humans realms and wishes to abandon the lower realms, and this is their sole aim or motivation, then this type of practitioner is called a being of small capacity.
어제 다른 바니바들 지분 딘다 도모여 라지 림바 팀에도 도모여 라지 림바 서그레스 어들 가르서 그러잖아 하다 멀리 제바 있나야 아니 가서 그래 단다 동에 요아르스 내가 송 동에다 요 말에 하다 멀리 제바 있나 지 동에 가이 동에나 지 동에 라서바 동에지 동에 유이 동에 어떤 게 차반 뒤지게 동에 라서부터 속걸로 멀리 요아르 할 요아르스 대인소다 아니 와데 차반두이지 동에 마테나 아니 타바투도 말해 아니 타발루아 타우치도 송고와레스 다 타발루아 다시 가르스나 돈이도 쉐럭을 하봐 돈이라면 비딩아지를 하봐 슈티를 하봐 손냐래 저기나 근데 타발도 그래 타바투도 그래스 어디 주도는 거잖아요.
So the next level of motivation is the practitioner who recognizes not only the downfalls and the sufferings of the lower realms, but also recognizes the suffering of the higher realms. He or she recognizes that even the gods and humans have to have the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death. And no matter where in cyclic existence one abides, beings always have the pervasive compounded suffering. So no matter what, if one is in cyclic existence, he or she necessarily has pervasive compounded suffering. So we can even see in our case now as a human, the various types of suffering that we have to endure. As stated before, the suffering of birth, aging, sickness, and death, the suffering of change, the suffering of suffering, the pervasive compounded suffering. So this medium scope practitioner recognizes all of these types of suffering, especially the pervasive compounded suffering, pervade all of cyclic existence, and wishes to definitely get out of all 6 realms of cyclic existence and achieve liberation. So what is the method for one to be able to definitely get out of even the pervasive compounded suffering which pervades all of cyclic existence? It's a practice of the 3 higher trainings. The higher training in wisdom, the wisdom which is focus is emptiness, the higher training in concentration, and this type of concentration is single-pointed concentration whose object of observation is emptiness, and the higher training in ethics. So these 3 higher trainings of ethics, concentration, and wisdom together allow this type of being of medium capacity to achieve liberation for him or herself alone. So these are indispensable on the path to liberation or nirvana. These 3 higher trainings are indispensable on the path to liberation or nirvana for the medium scope practitioner.
That Tibetan is that didn't Tomoyo Laji Rimba. And Tony Quad Kui Dungeta, New Mobile Tawala, and Tony to be Shero Karajin Kungores, Chivaina, Te Jusenteris, and then Duari to Chine Dungenio de Dungentu Ngalo, Jukunjula Tensuaris, then New Mo the Denzilla Tension Duaris, Chuna Dabatu wants to be dancing, Jusheba Latene, and then you mo Lesa and Qual Coduaris, Chuna Deba Maduba the Shesuna. And dancing in Yabishin, dancing Kasuna, Nyamunga, Lega, Dungenga, Tabayung waters.
So, how is it, what is the reason that this understanding of the nature of reality or emptiness and the concentration which uses as its object of observation emptiness or the nature of reality? What is the reason? The reason is that all 6 realms of cyclic existence, the root cause is the grasping at true existence. So the grasping at true existence is what causes one to create the other afflictions and the actions and so forth, which cause the predispositions for rebirth into the 6 realms of cyclic existence. So the actual wisdom realizing emptiness serves as an antidote to this mistaken conception that requires this mistaken perception which requires one to grasp at true existence. So if one then focuses on the antidote for this, it can slowly be eradicated, and if this is eradicated, then the other things which it causes will also be necessarily be eradicated. So if one eradicates the grasping at true existence by applying the antidote of the wisdom realizing emptiness, then the afflictions and the actions and so forth that grasping creates are no longer present or possible. So one is able to achieve liberation or nirvana. And these are called teachings that are shared in common with beings of medium capacity.
Chuna Deva Drubanzi Denzi Lolo Shires, Taba Dridis Lundamaris. Chuna Deva Maduba Shibi Tuni to be shared the Taba Drumayba Shibi Lundamaris, Lud Dembaris, Co Denzil Nunduaris.
So this mistaken conception or wrong view that misapprehends the nature of reality and grasps at true existence is very similar to one walking into a room and misapprehending a rope and believing it is a snake. At that moment, there is a wrong consciousness, a wrong view. There is a mistaken view at that moment. But once one recognizes that rope is actually a rope and is not a snake, then the mistaken concept or view is eradicated, and the fears and so forth that follow from that mistaken view are also eradicated. Likewise, once one recognizes the true nature of reality, then the mistaken views which follow from the original mistaken view are also not produced.
Oji dat labasun gomala dene nyomo pontu gore dongen pontu gore de ina nyomo bacha pontu mares bacha da mabun sanje tu mares bacha bombal garu gosen teba chembi chullo jango shanchu ke sen da shamba da hinje tu lo jango gores.
So this medium scope practitioner who relies upon this higher training and wisdom is able to eradicate this grasping at true existence, which then eradicates the afflictive obstructions. So then he or she is able to achieve the state of nirvana or liberation. But the imprints of the afflictive obstructions or the obstructions to omniscience are not eradicated and cannot be eradicated by focusing solely on this type of wisdom. It needs to be coupled with some sort of method or mind that aspires to enlightenment. And if it is coupled with that, then the being is no longer a being of medium capacity or a medium scope practitioner. Then he or she becomes a great scope practitioner. So the great vehicle teachings rely upon both of these things, that is, the method and wisdom. And by relying on these, he or she is then able to eradicate not only the afflictive obstructions, but also the obstructions to omniscience, which are the afflictive obstructions imprints, or predispositions that are remainder from the actual afflictive obstructions themselves.
But theme daju mangeji bodan shari bodu ngalo theme daju baris nyomo ponsare donge ponsa baris ina kuju nyomo bacha maboma insonta ane sanje rego maris sanje bala ane shanchu sen jang go baris.
So Mugipu and Shariputra, or I believe it's Kashyapa and Mugiputra. I forget Mugiputra. I forget the actual name.
Okay.
Mugiputra and Shariputra were two beings who were arhats, or foe destroyers, but they were Hinayana foe destroyers, or lesser vehicle foe destroyers. So they were not fully realized Buddhas, and the reason that they were not fully realized Buddhas is because of what was previously explained.
What the kuzu theme dajumba in a sanje matuba in Sunda, sanje bal garugosna, nyomo bacha pongore, shanchu sen jang gores, what the waters.
So what is it that made it impossible for this foe destroyer, the lesser vehicle foe destroyer, to achieve Buddhahood? The reason is that their realization was not coupled with the mind that aspires to enlightenment, or bodhicitta. So with a lack of bodhicitta, then it is not possible to achieve the state of unsurpassable, true, complete enlightenment, or Buddhahood. It's necessary to have both the union of the wisdom realizing emptiness and the mind that aspires to enlightenment, or bodhicitta. So this is indispensable on the path, the mind that aspires to enlightenment, and this is what allows the imprints of the afflictive obstructions to be eradicated.
Da shanchu ge sen kande gongresna ane jude menga du ju gone shanchu sen gongsu kande resna sentient ta je mayin ba gongwa tin tan ba tin zo tin she ba yong ge shamba hinje lasan jutu de bu shanchu ge sen dun ju gone shanchu ge sen je ju sanje ge zong ba re ja sham be zong ba re.
So how does one produce or generate the mind that aspires to enlightenment in his or her continuum? It can be generated by two causal factors taught by two different lineages. The first lineage was passed down through the extensive deeds lineage by the Lord Maitreya, and this was called the 7-point cause and effect for achieving bodhicitta. And this particular path or teaching had 6 causal factors and 1 result. Has 6 causal factors, and 1 result. The 6 causal factors are as follows. Recognizing that all sentient beings are our mothers, remembering their kindness, wishing to repay their kindness, love through the force of attraction, great compassion, the extraordinary attitude. These 6 causal factors produce the actual Mahayana mind generation, or the mind that aspires to enlightenment, which is the number 7 in the 7-point cause and effect for achieving bodhicitta. So the reason it's called cause and effect is because 6 causes are present and 1 effect. So this was passed down by Lord Maitreya to a Sangha.
Oje ta dene shu jine karzo gore 다제 냐바 제고는 생제비 수지 송고아르스 라 진질 준 요아르스 옌 진질 요된 요아르스 어디 진진이 그 중요사비고는 안 샤주 생 로장주 지송 요아르스
Ni까 the tamagare sum.
라 진질 준 요아르스
네 친구 얘네 tama.
옌 진질 요된
네
요아르스
친구.
어디 요된 요바도 고네 안 샤주 생 샤주 생 줄지 온게 어 리마지 요아르스 될 다제 냐바 제고는 생제주 두디 라준디
Gender Lama son. So this particular the younger student.
Rajin Dajanyaba Jegun Senjus, what young Shanju Saint Lujan to Kagaji waters.
Okay.
What the condition was, and then Rajavan Jinzin the Junior waters, and then Toma Mevanta Diba Dungan to go the Rajin waters. And then Jen Jebans in the Pension was Hajedan, Dajumbadan, Shanju Sembatan, the Watanji, Jen Jebans in the Junior waters, or Tendis Antane, and Shanju Saint Lujan to Jesus.
So the second, I apologize for that, the second type of teaching that was passed down from the great Lord Manjushri in the Profound View lineage is called equalizing and exchanging self and others. And the main focus of this teaching is the recognition of the downfalls of a self-cherishing attitude and the recognition of all of the excellent qualities of cherishing others. And seeing that since beginningless time, we have been propelled into cyclic existence by our self-cherishing attitude. And all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have achieved their levels of realization because they have chosen to cherish others. So we can see the difference. So all the happiness that we have ever experienced has been a result in some way of cherishing others. And all forms of unhappiness or suffering that we have to endure has been because of a self-cherishing attitude. So we can see the importance of exchanging these two types of attitudes in order to achieve a more realistic outlook. And if we can do this and we can focus on this practice of recognizing the downfalls of this self-cherishing attitude, and we can then generate an attitude which cherishes others, then we will be able to achieve eventually the Mahayana mind generation itself, or the mind that aspires to enlightenment, bodhicitta. So once one has this mind that aspires to enlightenment, or bodhicitta, once this has been generated, then he or she is called a bodhisattva. Once he or she has bodhicitta, they are called a bodhisattva, and they have entered the Mahayana path, or the great vehicle path, once this Mahayana mind generation has taken place. So from that point, then, there are two choices. There are two vehicles within the great vehicle tradition. There is the perfection vehicle and the esoteric vehicle, or the tantric vehicle.
What the need is, that passing the love to the and Tabi Tutinji Lava, Dinganji Lava, Sheraji love to soon there is.
So, and then also a focus on the three higher trainings is important as well. Focus on the highest higher training in ethics, the highest training in concentration, and the highest training in wisdom. So these are necessary to focus on in order for the progression on the path for the great vehicle practitioner.
Pashintiba love to Duna and then Labasundres, Jena and the Sisu Propassion, Shindus, the legend of Pashin Joe, or the names of this.
So there is a great importance of the practice of the six perfections. So the six perfections are indispensable on the path. So the perfection vehicle relies upon the three higher trainings and the six perfections. Then the Ju Kandre, Ganginsena Shintu, Dru, then Lapa Sum. Then the
Labason the Tolanka, you are Labason Jolanka, you are Tolanka, Mulul, Golanka, you are, Shindu Tolanka, you are, Jolanka, Nagal, you are, or the Ninja Leji.
Then Ju Garishene.
Joe, Jukandas.
The ngama chiran labson the parshin Jew the
바로 드신 봤죠. 제바신나 바른 지 봤죠.
Jew garishene Jew the selpo
세스
yomare
바로 바신
the drew
조로와 되니
lapasom som
라바송 쓰고 말해.
got
안에 이시지 바로 드신 봐. 만화지 바로 드신 봐. 또지 바로 드신 봐. 어떤 게 바신 이제 투버져 와요.
ale
어디
the Geshe Lamas. Okay, so
제도 요 저거 말해. 러산디 바신 줘서 런디.
so I was just unclear, but it wasn't listed. I just wanted to make sure. So there are there's the practice of the 10 perfections, the 6 perfections, and then the 4 excellences. The 4 excellences weren't listed, so that's why I got confused. So making it a total of the 10 perfections for a practitioner in the perfection vehicle.
다 바신 티발 러블래야 돈이라 maybe 싫어 그래. 돈이라 maybe 땡에지 그래. 수지 러버 그거도스. 어디 러버송도 그거스. 테메 러버송을 쳐봐도 봐버렸어.
So when we look at the 3 higher trainings of the lesser vehicle practitioner, it's different than the 3, in a sense, because of motivation, than the 3 higher trainings that the practitioner of the great vehicle would engage in. But it is necessary for the great vehicle practitioner to have the higher trainings, the higher training in wisdom, which uses as its objective or focal point emptiness and a concentration or single-pointed concentration whose object of observation is emptiness and the ethical behavior. So all of these things are indispensable for the great vehicle practitioner as well.
어제 다 티바 준비 가다 되게 녀모바다 시지 되어 본고 그래서 더 본발라 안 추팅이 르템 봐. 르조브 템보 그거레스 땡에지 pomba 템바 땡에 돈이라 미 땡에지 템보 그거레스 안에 셰러를 하바 전담지 어떠송 상송나 안에 녀모바 다 시디다 어떠 뭐야 네벌레 뭐레스.
So it's possible to eradicate the afflictive obstructions and the obstructions to omniscience by reliance upon these different practices. So the 3 higher trainings are compared to one's ability to cut a tree. It's necessary to have a very stable body in order to cut a tree. Because one couldn't do so if the body wasn't very stable. So this is compared to the higher training in ethics, which serves as the foundation or the body for the rest of all of the practices. So next, it's necessary if one wishes to cut something to have a strong arm. If one doesn't have a strong arm, then it's not possible to swing the sword or axe or whatever one is using as their cutting device. So this strong arm is compared to the higher training in single-pointed concentration or concentration. And then one must also have some sort of blade or axe or chainsaw, some sort of device, cutting device, to cut down the tree. So it's necessary to have all 3 of these things in order to cut down a tree, and this cutting device is compared to the higher training in wisdom. So we have the higher training in ethics, which is similar to the body, higher training in concentration that is similar to the arm, and the higher training in wisdom, which is similar to the sword or axe. And if all of these 3 things are present, relative to cutting a tree, the tree can be cut. And if all of these 3 things are present, then it's possible, if coupled with the mind that aspires to enlightenment, to achieve the state of Buddhahood through the path of eradication of afflictive obstructions and obstructions to omniscience.
달란도 주팅 러바 친사버스 띵에지 러바데 친사버스 당아도 셰로 러바가도 되디오레스.
So at this point in the Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, we've already gone through the higher training in ethics, and we've already gone through the higher training in concentration, and we've arrived at the higher training in wisdom. So we will be delving into that section again today, and that, I believe, the Jipju Jedun got it.
Ilishi 47.
I believe we're at 47.
47 number.
Number 47.
What the ancient 47 차지 로다 그 정도 주는 거. pombo 간다 제시다.
Okay.
Pombo Kanda
Chonka.
Angel Luna.
Nge Lagian, the
Pombo Kanda Chichinarwa, 47, Pombo Kanda Chichina, Jawameba Tunju,
Pombo
Raji
Kandan Jeche Nam. Okay. So I will read 47. Understanding emptiness of inherent existence through realizing that the aggregates, constituents, and sources are not produced is described as wisdom.
되게 shero 돈이 두비 제당 shero 뭐 요아르스 최근걸로 쉐비 shero 요아르스 쉐이나 코치 shero 요비 저거래데 shero 거는 야슈데 돈이 두비 shero 드레스 pomanga deba maruba ane zo deba maruba da deba maruba o to sukngalo shero nyebunala pomanga to suka deba maru slogndo o de tuni du shero tsungdu waris.
So there are many different kinds of wisdom. When we look at the wisdom which cognizes or understands any type of phenomena, or an understanding of any type of phenomena, is called wisdom. But the best type of wisdom, and the wisdom that we're speaking of, is the wisdom which realizes emptiness, or the wisdom realizing emptiness. And so this type of wisdom recognizes that the I is not truly established, the I is not truly existent, the person or being is not truly established or not truly existent, and nor are the skandhas or aggregates. So this type of wisdom, which recognizes the emptiness of all phenomenon, is the highest type of wisdom, and the wisdom that is described in this particular section.
Jujela tune trubare, Daju Tubala tune trubare dioras, tune truba, tune trudioras, tune trubi tende yinza, Demba Marubaris, tune trubi tende yinza, and Demba Maruba, or the Demba Maruba Shebi, Shero dele, and the Yosun Sagaris, Shero Jilabas against, Habi Shero Jilabas against what the is.
So this highest, the higher training in wisdom is a recognition that all phenomena dependently originate, and because of this dependent origination, they rely upon a collection of parts. So this collection of parts comes together, a collection of various things comes together and then is named or imputed on as this or that, or nominally designated as this or that. And there is no inherent this or that exclusive in any phenomena. So the understanding of this and recognition that because things dependently originate, they form a collection, and this dependent origination serves as the correct sign that it is not truly established. It serves as the reason for it not being truly established or not being truly existent.
Kanza to Sukangalo, Tendi Yinza Dema Marubaris. Kanza go to Tendi Yinza Dema Maruba de Kanza Dema Maruba, Kanza Dames Logwaris, Oman Tanjo Jibaina, and then Nabi Jotama, Rajuba Meche de Kanza Dameja to Dan, Chuji Dameja to Chebayuaris, and then Oman Tanju Kanza Dames, Chuji Damesna, Dema Marubi, Tony Lijava Chibaris. Then you Chavakaris and Kanza Dema Maruba de Kanza Dames Gris. Kanza Mai be treated Dema Maruba de la Chuji Dames Gris. Damen and Roa Nandrisher, Chudan Kaza Nani Sons, or the Baden daughter of Otto Sondua. Sanjik Dame Banison Bate, and Dame Banison Yoris, near the Kazas and the Kaza Dema Maruba. Century Sumarbe, Century Bing
Kansak being
Dema Maruba. Century Dema Bing Dema Maruba de la Kaza Dames Yoris. Being my imbichu, Deva Maruba, the Chuji Dames, Sanjik Sumbares.
Sansam person. Kansak person, Sansam being. Nietzsche Chipa. So we look at, okay, I'm going to break this all up so it makes sense. And we look at the tenet systems. And the tenet systems, if we look at the middle way consequence school, there is a little bit of a different view in the Madhyamika Prasangika from the Madhyamika Svatantrika view. So the middle way consequence school and the middle way autonomy school have a difference of opinion. the Middle Way autonomy schools, understanding of selflessness of person or selflessness of being is different than that of the Prasangika view. So here we'll explain according to the highest view, which is the Madhyamika Prasangika view, or the Middle Way consequence school. The belief is that there is selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena, and the emptiness of the person and the emptiness of the phenomenon are the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomenon. The way that the Madhyamika Prasangika view differentiates these two things is by stating that that which is person is necessarily the selflessness of person, and that which is anything is phenomena and other than person is selflessness of phenomena. So we can find in the Madhyamika Avatara by Chandrakirti, the entrance to the Middle Way, where Chandrakirti states that all phenomena which are not person are necessarily selflessness of phenomena, and that which is person is selflessness of being or person. So this is the way the Madhyamika Prasangika view breaks up or divides the different kinds of emptiness up, being and non-being, relative to phenomena. So this is the way that it is explained that emptiness is explained according to the Prasangika view. The emptiness is divided into the emptiness of person and emptiness of phenomena.
장다 그듯이 샹진데와 도수그 중을 간사가 되면 취지 되면 어떤 손도나 빈 대바 마루바들 간사가 되면 고고레스 아니 빈 마임비 취 대바 마루바들 취지 되면 고고레스.
So we can find this reasoning in the Buddhist teachings. We can find it in the teachings of Nagarjuna. We can find it in the teachings of Chandrakirti, find it in the teachings of Shantideva, and the Nagarjuna's spiritual son, Aryadeva. So we can find all of these meanings according to the Middle Way consequence view in the texts by these great authors. And they all state that the emptiness of phenomena and emptiness of person are different only because the emptiness is the same, but the difference is that the emptiness of person is called selflessness of person or selflessness of being. Person and being here are interchangeable, that's why I use both. And selflessness of phenomena. So that which is non-being and phenomena is necessarily selflessness of phenomena, and that which is being and phenomena is necessarily selflessness of being or person.
So liberation no yujire. What the gombaro sedan to suyana, what the non Gonzaga diamond, the church diamond said the Oman Tanju, what then Katulu, what then the go waters.
Lamrim Chenmo.
Landran down.
Yeah, it's not but Namgyal Lajan Nalayam. So you can find this also in English. You can find it in Pabunka Rinpoche's Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. You can find it in the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment by Lama Tsongkhapa, and specifically in the section on calm abiding in Lama Tsongkhapa's text, you can find the explanations of this, as well as the Lamrim Chenmo, Namgyal Lajan Dang. And then here in this text, The Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment by Atisha, we can also find explanations of this.
취지 다음에 방에서 새로운 힘을 봐야 아그게스 취지 다음에 해로 손을 도와스 취지 다음에 해로 손 가자가 다음에 주고 손을 도와스 어차 가시를 가자가 다음에 해로 손 취지 다음에 주고 손사 요아르스 사지게 손 제대 취지 다근 되시네 셰바드 진군을 lö자샤스 사지게 제대 취지 다근 너무 가자가 다음에 셰소나 됐네 취도도 근가로 아니 가자가 다음에 나지 취도 근가로 대바 마루버스 너무 가자가 다음에
레서
가자 너무 가자가 다음에 시 쇼고 취지 다음에 시 shedan jije dene ya chöji dame ngel shi ganza ga dame shogu shi ya ge bacha zu ge ka ni yong res dan de chöji dame ngel so no was.
So, according to Buddha, and in various texts, we can find little differences of understanding of how the wisdom realizing these things take place. Some scriptures we can find where it states that first one recognizes the selflessness of person, and then once the selflessness of person is recognized, then the selflessness of phenomena is recognized. In other texts, we can find it states where that first, the selflessness of phenomena is recognized, then the selflessness of person is recognized. So we find that these two different opposing ideas in different scriptures, but it really doesn't matter because the selflessness itself and the emptiness of these things is the same emptiness.
다 오미 버차 나로를 간사가 다면 추지 다면 니 등에 간사가 다면 셰그레 추지 다면 셰그레스 도바 모비오르스 버차 같이 나를 추지 다면 헬 도고르스 추지 다면 셰 되는 간사가 다면 쇼고 셰고르스 버차 같이 나를 너무 간사가 다면 셰 되는 추지 다면 셰고르스 데스 만다 송로르스.
And even in the Madhyamika Prasangika school, the middle way consequence school, we can find some scriptures that say, yes, first one recognizes the selflessness of person or being, and then once this recognition of selflessness or being takes place, then the selflessness of phenomenon can be realized. Then other scriptures state that first the selflessness of phenomena must be realized, and then once the selflessness of phenomena is realized, then at that point the selflessness of person is realized. So we can find these different ideas in different scriptures.
답부터 가시 너무 간사가 다음에 셰고르스 된 추지 다음에 콩가르스나 사제가 손도 와서 제대로 추지 다긴 되시네 셰바 되신 군라 lö자 제다드 버나 너무 간사가 다음에 바시 되는 간사 다음에 반 나지 추탄지 다음에 바시 고르스 손도 와서 대인 손상 간사가 다음에 걸 셰고르스 되는 추지 다음에 셰고르스 버자 가시 로드 손르스.
So some books do state that first the person recognizes the selflessness of being or person. Then that recognition of the selflessness of person, the recognition of the nature of this selflessness, then turns to all phenomena. And then that same exact formula is applied to all phenomena, and then the selflessness of phenomena is recognized through the first recognizing the selflessness of person. So we can find texts that state that that's the process.
답변이 소나 답이 간사가 담행을 쉬고 추 담행을 쉬고서는 차바요 말 머지를 지버 머지 간사가 담행을 쉬 추지 담행 쉬고 쉬고 지유 추지 담행을 쉬 간사가 담행 쉬고 쉬고 지유 가르스 어디 아니 가서 그래 머지서 그러다 머지스나 되네 간사가 담행을 쉬게 요래 쉬고를 쉬게 요래 차바요 말 So if
we move to Panchen Sonandrapa, who is the textbook writer for Losang Ling, he states that there are 4 permutations or 4 possibilities. And translators note 4 permutations, 3 permutations, mutually exclusive, synonymous. These are all debate terms. So states that there are 4 permutations or 4 possibilities. Panchen Sonandrapa says it doesn't matter if you recognize the selflessness of person first, or you recognize the selflessness of phenomena first. He states that there are some who recognize person first and some people who recognize selflessness of phenomenon first. And this is why these individual authors have said that this is the process, because that has been their experience. So Panchen Sonandrapa states that there are 4 possibilities. And the way that works is there is something which you put 2 topics together, and do you have something which is A but not B? Do you have something which is B but not A? Do you have something which is both A and B? And do you have something which is neither A nor B? If you have all of those, that's 4 permutations. If there's only one of those is missing, then it becomes 3 permutations. If there's not a common locus, then this is called mutually exclusive. And if there is all of them are the same, if A is always B and B is always A, then it's synonymous. So that's just a quick translator's note on what the 4 permutations means, because I know that most people haven't studied debate and wouldn't know that term. So if anybody wants to know more about that, you can see me after class, but I wanted to add that in to explain it, because Rinpoche didn't expand on 4 permutations, and I know that no one would know what that was.
ane pombo serawa pombo nga khan juji jeje juni chwedu su ngalo demba maru bare pombo khan da jeje na gyawa meba to jubi rangin duni sheba ne shera je ne yongsu shis labi shera je laba de kan sha go resna pombo nga da jeje khan juje da jeje juni ge chwedu su ngalo demba jubi gyawa meba tubi shera de la duni sheba de la ane shera seres labi shera je laba se ge what ja go res.
So here it says, understanding emptiness of inherent existence through realizing that the aggregates, the 5 aggregates, the constituents, the 18 constituents, and the 6 sources are not Jeche Dru. Juni, I'm sorry, and the 12 sources are not produced. So this is what is explained as wisdom. So this is basically stating that understanding that the aggregates, constituents, and sources are empty of inherent existence is called wisdom. So that's basically what is stated here, or meant by Lord Atisha. So here it says not produced. What is the meaning here of not produced? Obviously they are produced. If a child has parents, the child is born, a child is produced. If a tree a tree grows, it came from a sprout and is produced from the ground and so forth. So it doesn't mean that it wasn't produced literally. The meaning is that it was not inherently produced. There was no inherent existence or exclusive production that was exclusive of or beyond its collection. So that's the meaning here. It does not mean that it wasn't produced, because that would be nihilism. The meaning here is that it is not inherently produced. There is no inherent or truly a true establishment in its production.
Oje tatene kashugore tatoni kashugore chutanje deba madruba dele ane toni la mebi tujung gishera sanjung gishera gonjung gishera son yuares son yongres marbe shera son.
So when we look at the recognition of the nature of reality, or the recognition of the nature of phenomena, we can see that we acquire this type of wisdom through 3 levels, or the 3 types of wisdom. The wisdom arisen from hearing, the wisdom arisen from contemplation, and the wisdom arisen from meditation. And contemplation can be called analysis also. So the 3 types of wisdom are from hearing, analysis, and meditation. So one arrives at the wisdom realizing emptiness through this process of hearing, analysis, and meditation. In that order.
Then Jusela then Tony to be Jeva Samat Jesuna Sanjung Sheres Umarbe, Sanjung Sheres.
JPOG. Okay. So when we look at these types of wisdom, the first type of wisdom, if one hears, for instance, let me start over here. If one hears some sort of explanation, and the words that are spoken, the main object of those words that are spoken is emptiness. And a very good explanation of emptiness is given. And then one hears this, and then through hearing it, it comes into one's continuum. This is the wisdom arisen from hearing. And then one takes that, one has heard, heard and processes it and engages in analysis. And through that analysis, one can arrive at the wisdom arisen from analysis or contemplation. And that's very similar to inferential prime cognition, or Jepag Tsema. So inferential prime cognition is brought about through first having the wisdom arisen from hearing, and then engaging in analysis. So then once one engages in that analysis enough, one can arrive at the inferential prime cognition, which is the second level of wisdom, and then we'll move to the next level.
Waji da doni la me bi tujung ge shera da sanjung ge shera ni bu be ji jegung ru ji ne gong ba jusen san da ne jusen la de ne doni ya ne ya de san da ba de le jegung se ru jegung ji da gong se gen de gong ja de de ni ya ne ya de san da ba de le gong se ru shang chu ge sen ya ya again ting ya bu de ji da gong se ru de na ji de ba ma ru ba de le ane ya ne ya de san da ba yin na gong se ru
Less so.
gong se gen ya ne ya de sen ba da je dang tu gombe lance ta toni gonyon du jusen la tene toni ane ane san tang ba de le che gong se res de tujung ge she ra na san jung ko su yo res.
So when we look at familiarization or meditation, and the two kinds of meditation, of single-pointed meditation and analytical meditation, this wisdom that is arisen through hearing and through analysis falls into the category of analytical meditation when we look at the two types of meditation. So this analytical meditation requires one to use reasons and requires one to use signs and reasons to establish this incontrovertible view or incontrovertible inferential prime cognition. So one uses reasons and familiarizes oneself with it. So for instance, if one is familiarizing him or herself with bodhicitta, or the mind that aspires to enlightenment, he or she will use many reasons and engage in analysis to think of the different kinds of bodhicitta and so forth to be able to arrive at an inferential understanding of the mind that aspires to enlightenment. Likewise, if one turns that focus and uses emptiness as the object of observation of that analysis, then one can have the wisdom that is arisen through analysis relative to the wisdom arisen through analysis whose object of observation is emptiness. This arises through repeated thinking and through repeated analysis. So these first two types of wisdom produce inferential prime cognition, and these are produced by analytical meditation, one of the two kinds of meditation.
Ta tusan ji je ne gomba ta toni rubi ta anda le do ta anda toni rubi ta anda mo yo ares dan den lang zhen ko su ta anda song yong du song na karsa ta anda song den jeba la joba yo me jing go ge tensi jo la joba du ji zemi tensi ngo la joba ji de ge tensi ta anda renba song du ji dan ta anda song sen go de
correct signs.
Correct signs go what the da song dos
then a dayanda sum tambo kale kale la gangsen ngema nge anje goma son. So there are three types of correct sign according to this particular text, according to Ithaca. So when we look at inferential prime cognition, that comes about through reliance upon a correct sign. So here, Rinpoche is going to explain the three correct signs that are stated in this particular text, and we're going to have to go slow. I'm not familiar with this. So the first correct sign can be found in the 48th stanza. Then it says, something existent cannot be produced, nor something non-existent, like a sky flower. These errors are both absurd, and thus both of the two will not occur.
다 주생 간다 산다나 번나가서 퐁퐁갈 산다나 디거와 퐁퐁가 Ponga zoji pompo chuye chi so marbe. Ala zoji pompo chuye chi demba dubare demba maduba res na. Demba maduba res. Zo demba maduba res. Zo demba maduba imi jusen kares na. Zo de jul chiare de ju dus yomares. Ju dus yoba. Ju dus yomares. Ju dus yoba demba maduba res. Zo de ju dus meba demba maduba res. Zo de ju dus yoba da meba niga yima demba maduba res. Zo de ju dus yoba da meba niga mayimba demba maduba. Meje so kono meje. Zo de ju dus ayo yomarwa. Zo ju dus ayo yomarwa. Zo ju dus ayo yomarwa.
Ju don't it.
Ju cause okay. Zo de
Zu chu chen.
Zo chu chen. Demba madu de zo chu chen demba madu de ne ju dus yoba demba madu. Ju meba demba madu. Ju dus yoba demba niga yimba demba madu. Ju dus meba niga mayimba demba madu ba imbe. Din so so demba madu ba res.
So, why is it that these things are not truly established or not truly existent? They are not truly existent, and we can go through it using 4 different permutations. We can use different reasoning. So let's look at the 5 aggregates, for instance. Let's focus on the form aggregate. So the subject, the form aggregate, is it inherent? Is it truly established, or is it not truly established? And the answer is it's not truly established. So when we state this, we have to come up with a correct sign for a proper statement. So the subject form is not truly existent. Now the next part of that formula needs to be the reason, because of this. So this is the way that a dialectical conversation would take place, or a debate would take place. The subject form is not truly existent, or is it truly existent? So the answer would be it's not truly established, it's not truly existent. Then one needs to state a reason. And you can say because its causes are not truly existent, its causes are not existent, its causes are existent, and there is something which is neither its causes nor it. So you can see that it'll fall into 4 permutations. And Rinpoche, Juchi dan karma junga chaptra the kagadu.
Okay, that you said the same shit no matter.
Yabudu.
That zo de dema maru barawa. Zo dema maruba is no ju du yena dema maru barawa. Zo dema maruba is ju du mena dema maru barawa. Yo dema ba niga ina dema maru barawa. Niga yeme niga maimba ina dema maru barawa. Te so zo dema maru barawa. Bana na kim du jins. Pombu karza yoba jewa rimi de meba na kim du jins. Zo chu dema maru de ju du yoba dan maru. Ju du meba dan maru. Yeme niga ima dema maru. Yeme niga maima dema maru bi sherer. Bana na kim du jins. Na khal mudu yo maru. Dema yo maru do yaro.
So here it states something existent cannot be produced, nor something non-existent, like a sky flower. So here the subject form is not produced because its causal factors are not produced. Its causal factors are not existent. Its causal factors are existent. There's something which is both its causal factors and itself, and that's the moment. There's something which is the causal factors and itself, and there is something which is neither. So we can see that there are 4 permutations relative to this, and we can state that the reason for its existence but lack of true existence is because it exists. It is not existent, but it is not truly established because its causes are not truly established. Its causes are not inherent.
O tendege dema maruba yimbi juten la tene dema maruba shi tusu shego wa da nga tu tsenri ba zo yina trecha la tene ne su mo bi shego dos dande juten tende la tene dema maruba shi aji nambi jon o tegri mo bores.
So we can see in science that they rely heavily upon reason and signs, correct signs such as machines and so forth, using these machines to engage in analysis and using analysis coupled with these machines to come up with diagnosis and to come up with understanding of things. And this is also inferential prime cognition. Likewise, Buddhism does the same thing, engages in analysis heavily and looks at these things from various different angles to supply valid reasons reasons why things are such, in the same way science does.
다 다다 속에 메시지 안준 주는 아주 조불도 스타지 제거도 왔어. 그 투자 나로래 나타에는 따지 통고 와서. 달라데네 안 캔시레자 TV레자 세도 제바서 들었대.
So a doctor is able to use a machine that is able to X-ray or to take samples and so forth, is able to use this machine to come up with a diagnosis of this is cancer or this is tuberculosis based on the use of this machine and whatever the test results this machine came up with. So science, so the doctor uses inferential prime cognition to make a diagnosis.
And data 가지게 찔리도 마ten스 라군도와. 안 찔릴 때네 찔리게 이던 가둘라 때네 나사 가리면 그런 것도 없어.
And then there are some doctors that will have you stick your tongue out, and they'll put the wooden thing on the tongue, and they'll look at the color and the shape and so forth, and they're able, based on the color and shape of the colors, to determine whether you are sick or not.
And data 가지 밀다고도 없어. 민도스진. 미게야 이던 가둘라 때네 나사 가리면 그런 것도 없어.
So some doctors are able to look at somebody's eye and what the shape of the different components of the eye are and what the color of the eyes are, and then make a diagnosis based on that sign.
나다다 말에 무슨 때도 먹고 생 집에 예면 집에 여봐다 안 생 집에 매비 거서 가서 동발 때는 하고도.
And sometimes just by looking at somebody's face, we don't necessarily need to be a professional. Just by looking at somebody's face, we can see how someone is feeling. We can infer how he or she is really doing that day. And this is inferential prime cognition.
단단히 가서 zul아서부터 대마마루 바레스 주유도서 여바 대마마루 매바 대마마루 여매니가 이바 대마마루 니가 많이 바 대마마루 왜 나나키 무도지스 what you said to go.
So the thing is not produced. So the actual something, meaning not produced, is not inherently produced. So its causal factors are not inherently existent. But we can't say that the causal factors are non-existent. The causal factors are existence, but that existence is not truly existence. Is not truly existent. Its true existence is similar to a sky flower. So the meaning of this is a sky flower is not existent. It's not something that exists. So its true existence, or that thing's true establishment or true existence, truly exists in the same way that a sky flower exists. I know that's hard to follow, but that was exactly what Rinpoche said. So a phenomenon's true existence is the same existence as the existence of a sky flower. So it's basically saying that there is no truly existent phenomena, in short. Okay, so now we'll do about 10 minutes of silent meditation, and then we'll do the ending prayers, beginning with mandala offering.